Bow staff types. We'll take a look at a few different types of bow staffs. We'll actually spin around a bit, a few different types of bow staffs, so you get a look and feel of the different types of bow staffs. Our objective is to show that we can do the same kind of bow staff type techniques with different types of bow staffs. So whatever you have, you can typically apply the techniques we're using to those types of bow staffs. So we'll spin them around a bit. As we go forward, note that we're going to start from a very basic standpoint. We're going to go through a basic setup that will be a modified, in essence, baseball swing that we'll modify. We'll learn a new step each time as we go. But as we demonstrate the different types of bow staffs here, we'll spin them around in some typical type of ways that you may see with a bow staff. Our objective to show that these different sizes of bow staffs and different types of makes, different wood that can be used for the bow staff can all be applied in similar techniques with relation to the bow staff. Our goal, of course, going forward will be to focus on the lighter bow staff and the bow staff that is going to be a bit smaller so that we can use them in close doors, we can use them in close contact, we can use them indoors, less likely to go through the wall, good for beginners to learn. As you learn those techniques, then of course you can apply them to any type of bow staff that's made out of different types of material and is within the range of a bow staff range in terms of height. We're going to look now at a few different types of bow staffs. There are many different types of bow staffs, and it's important to look into it because many people don't get into the bow staff or look into how to use a bow staff simply because they don't know which bow staff to purchase. And if they talk to or look at different people that are using the bow staffs and are training with the bow staffs, they're going to be into a particular type of bow staff depending on the type of training that they are into. Here, we're particularly looking at the bow staff mainly for indoor use, for workout type of use, something that we can do inside and outside. We want something that's going to be small enough, light enough, that we can do it inside. We can do it with groups of people if we want to do that, and it's something that can apply to a normal bow staff, meaning it's large enough, heavy enough, that we can do the things that we would normally do with a bow staff. So that's what our emphasis will be here. We'll be emphasizing a bow staff that will be a bamboo type of bow staff, but you can basically use any, that's what we'll use most of the time. You can use any bow staff you would like to, however. There are training bow staffs that are good things to start off with. We'll give a reference to that as well, which are basically foam padded bow staffs. And then if you do have the room and you're outside, you can do the same things outside and have a bit longer of a bow staff. So again, our emphasis here is mainly on the workout of the bow staff, a workout that can be indoors, a workout that can be in front of the TV, a workout that you can do in between work if you would like to do so, but also one that will be having normal bow staff techniques. But we want to show different types of bow staffs just so you get an idea of what is out there. So here's just a few of them. We'll give you a look at them. The first one is the one we'll be looking at. Bamboo bow staff will work at this most of the time. You can see it's a relatively small bow staff here, so it's small enough that if we're less likely to hit something because it's going to be small enough, but it's large enough that we'll be treating it as a bow staff. We'll be able to tuck it under our arm. We won't have the clearance, as we'll see later, what that difference is, because if it's any smaller than this, it's not really a bow staff. It's going to start to be kind of like more of a baseball bat or a sword type thing where you have a lot more clearance. So you want something that's going to be tall enough that acts like a bow staff, but that is short enough that it's not going to be damaging anything, and you can have fun with it while watching TV or listening to music or taking a break and use the bow staff within that. This one will be a bamboo. It's going to be a soft bamboo, so it's not going to be a hard bamboo. The hard bamboo is going to be hollow in the middle, and it'll be pretty hard, and it'll have the hollow in the middle. This one is not hollow in the middle, and it has a little bit more flexibility. It's a little bit lighter. It's not going to be as hard, less likely to go through the wall or something like that. Note again, you could find on Amazon bow staffs that have padding on it as well. We'll probably put a link to that down below, and that's basically just PVC pipe with foam around it. So if you wanted to cut a PVC pipe and put something around it, such as duct tape or something like that, you could do that as well. Just make sure it's heavy enough that it has some force to it. You need to be able to spin it. If it's too light, you won't be able to spin it around. So even the foam ones are getting a little bit too light to really be effective, and it might be good to actually put some tape on it or something to put some weight on it so that you can move it around. I like the bamboo staff here for an indoor staff. It works well. Again, note it's fairly small. We're going to be working with a smaller staff, but large enough for us to do the techniques that you would use with a larger staff. Pretty light staff. That means it's not going to basically go through the wall as well. These are going to be what we'll learn. So just to show you that you can do basically kind of bow staff stuff with it. We'll learn this kind of 4-beat item. We could spin it around. We can do the figure eights with it. So it is, it's large enough to do some of the normal stuff that we would do with the bow staff. Here's the tip of it. You can see we taped it up, so it's just duct tape. Less likely to scratch the wall or go through the wall, but it's pretty light. It's not going to go through. It might scratch the wall. This is the duct tape. You can get different colored duct tapes. We're going to show that later, so you can mark each side of it. And so again, if it hits the wall, our goal is to have something that's less likely to go through the wall. Now this one's one that's more likely to go through the wall. This one's a heavy one. Some kind of hardwood. I think it's a redwood, much heavier. So it's much heavier. Really, the reason you might want to use this one is really because it gives you basically a kind of a workout on your arms as you go through this. So this one will, as you do something, just spinning it around like this, really works out your wrists and your forearms well. You can do the same type of stuff with it. It's going to be a lot heavier, a lot slower to do that as you go through this with a heavier staff. This is kind of the things that we'll learn here. We'll take it one step at a time here, but just to show you that you could do normal kind of bow staff stuff. Now, if this one hits the wall, it'll go right through the wall. So don't hit the wall with this one. I wouldn't recommend using this indoors. If it hits your heel as you start spinning it around like that, or your head, it's gonna hurt because it's heavy. So yeah, I mean, if you're starting out, you probably don't want to start out. This is like a redwood staff. It's pretty heavy, so you probably don't want to start with a heavy staff if you're starting out. You can see here's the tip of it. You could tape it up to try to prevent any scratching, but again, because it's heavy, if it hits the wall or the ceiling, it could just dent the wall or the ceiling no matter what you do with it. This is going to be an example of kind of like the non-flexibility of it. So that it's still hardwood. This is one that actually broke, so it's a little, we're looking at one that's more standard to bow staff height. This one being up to our chin to hit the ceiling. Of course, when that's the case, if you got a ceiling fan or something like that, more likely to hit the ceiling. Notice this one's split. There's a split right down the middle. It's less likely for the bamboo staff to split. These hardwood staffs don't have any give, so it's more likely it will. So the bamboo, probably less likely that it's going to split on you. These hardwood ones will split after a while. Now, although it's longer, note that we could do the same type of stuff. So same type of bow staff stuff with it. Again, we'll learn this one step at a time with it, but just to show you that you can, flip it around and do the same type of spinning of that staff as you did with the smaller staff, and the other way around, the small staff works. Now this one is going to be a type of, I think it's rattan wood. It's a type of reed, I believe. And the thing about this one is a lot more flexible. So notice the hardwood staff, not flexible at all. It will break over time. Most likely it'll dry out. And if you hit anything with it, it'll split like that. This one is like a reed, rattan. It's just gonna bend like a reed does. So it's got a lot of flexibility to it. So if you see it, it's got a lot of flexibility. When you spin it around, you can actually feel it when you rotate it, when you do the same types of things. It may actually slow things up as you spin it around. It just depends who you talk to as to whether it's gonna be the best thing for you. It's probably a little bit slower, but it's not gonna break. And a lot of times that bend, that flexibility gives you more of that whipping action that could be nice to have within the bow staff as well. Again, it's a longer one. This is what we'll learn to do, this kind of 4-step item. We'll learn that item first. That's going to be one of the first things, but just note you can do the figure 8 type stuff and you can spin it around. It's still a fairly light one's up to our chin but you can still do everything with it. If it gets too much high or over your head, you won't have the clearance. Notice it's not hollow, it's some type of reed, rattan I believe it's called. And so it's a pretty light. If it hits the ceiling, probably not going to go through it. Hits the wall, probably not going to go through the wall. You're probably good with that one indoors, although it's tall enough that you'll scratch things. This one's designed to be a faster, basically, staff. It's designed to get some speed. It's tapered off at the ends. It's actually made out of metal, I believe. It's a metal staff that tapers off, and you can get the kind of the fastest type of rotation. It's made to be light, still a light staff. But because it's tapered, it could go through or scratch the ceiling or the wall, and it's made out of metal, so it's still pretty light, you'll see, compared to compared to the hardwood staff made out of metal. The design of it is that we can spin it around a lot faster. So that's going to be the design. If you're looking at tournaments or something like that, then of course they're going to use something more like this because you can rotate the staff faster. But just know you can do all this stuff with it. You can do the figure eights with it. You can spin it around, do the behind the back things. We'll start from basically a 4-step swing. But just to give you an idea that you can do the same stuff with all of them. It's tapered at the end, so you see how it's tapered. That means that indoors, you're more likely to scratch something or hit something as you go around with it. So those are just a few of them, just a few of the examples of the bow staff. Note that we're not related to any of these bow staffs or anything like that, although we might have an affiliate link to Amazon in the description. But any bow staff that works is fine with us. Here's just some examples of the bow staff. Here's an example of a foam type of bow staff that you could find on Amazon. 5 feet staff, and it's got the foam, so again, less likely to go through the wall or something. It's a little light, so these staffs are a little bit light, so it's actually a little bit harder to do some of the things with it when it's too light. You may even want to add some weight by putting duct tape on it or something like that, so it'll be a little bit heavier. But those work as well. If you look at these, most of them are just basically PVC, some type of plastic pipe with foam around the end of it. So you could try going to Home Depot and getting pipe plastic pipe or something like that, which is too light to really use in and of itself. But then if you put something on it such as duct tape or something like that, then you can try that as well. Probably would take a lot of duct tape, so I'm not sure it would even be cheaper to go that way. But if you happen to have those things, you can do that, and you can customize the size of the bow staff to you as well if you want to do that.